Hey everyone, I want to show you guys how to make your truss in Onshape using the beam profile icon. And this is going to be kind of familiar with what we did with the beam profile tutorial we did a while back. So to start with, we're going to create our truss. And we're only going to create a sketch of the truss. So we're going to call this our cardboard truss. Now this is truss with two S's and not trust. So I want to make sure you understand the difference. Now, after I've created my new document, I want to go into my front plane here, and I want to do my sketch on my front plane. And the first thing I want to do is draw in a very basic triangle that looks like a rudimentary truss. And if you remember from the outline stated that the truss has to be between 12 to 36 inches in length. 36 inches is not real easy to work with, so I'm kind of ambitious here. So I'm going to make this thing 24 inches long, and that's going to make for a pretty good sized truss. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this is actually centered in my 24-inch span. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to dimension that to 12 inches. The next thing I want to do is set my height. Now hopefully you remember that in the directions it also said you have to be between 6 and 12 inches tall. I want to be somewhat ambitious here and make this thing 10 inches tall. And the type of truss you pick is totally up to you. I'm going to go with like a modified fan or a Fink truss. So I'm going to do a real simple truss. It's going to look something like this to that. And I'm going to finish it, and then I'm going to come back and add in this side as well to there. And then I want to dimension it. And I want this to be split evenly. So I want this to actually be 8 inches. And then I want, since it's 24 inches divided by 3, you get 8. So I want this side to be 8 inches as well. All right. Now I have a very basic truss that I can work with. And the problem is like when we look at our truss now, our truss is just simply a sketch. That's all it is, just a sketch. It has no thickness to it. It's just simply a drawing in the middle of space, and it's a sketch. We want to give this thing thickness. And to do this, we need to use our beam profile. And some of you guys remember this from the last tutorial. So some of you guys hopefully remember how to do this, but I'm pretty sure not everybody does. So I'm going to show you how to do the beam profile here in a second. But before we do that, we want to create the actual profile itself. So I want to go back to the Onshape dashboard, and I want to create my truss profile. And to do this, I want my truss profile to start on the top plane. So I'm going to do my sketch on my top plane. And I want this to replicate what the truss will actually look like. So since we know that we're making the truss out of 3 pieces of cardboard stacked on top of each other, I want to reflect that in my drawing. So I'm going to make each piece of cardboard the equivalent of 5/8 of an inch tall. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make my first dimension 5/8. And then I want this thing to reflect that it's 3 pieces of cardboard wide. And I don't want to do my 90-degree measurement. I only want to go up here. And I want to make this thing 3/8 of an inch wide. Now I want to show that we actually have individual pieces of cardboard inside here. To do that, I'm going to put some interior lines in here at about 1/8 of an inch wide. I'm going to put a second one in that's also at about 1/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to put my second line in here like that. Oh, come on, there we go, like that. And now I want to dimension them. I want to give them a thickness. I'm going to make this one 0.125. I'm going to make this one 0.125. Now that I have my individual 3 pieces of cardboard, I want to be able to show that they're actually 3 individual pieces. To do that, I'm going to create some fillets. And I'm going to create fillets on the outside to start with first. I'm going to make this fillet equal to 0.05. And that looks pretty good. And I'm also going to make this corner and this corner and this corner all equal to 0.05. But the difference is I can't see inside here. So I want to be able to show that I actually have 3 pieces here. So I'm actually going to fillet my inside corners as well. So I'm going to fillet this to that and make that there. And then on the top here, we can see it actually cut off our lines. So I'm going to put that line back in, and then I'm going to come back in and sketch my fillet here. Okay. Now I'm going to come in the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to sketch my fillet in the bottom here. So I'm going to go from here to here. And that's the first one. And then I'm going to come in and sketch my fillet from here to here, or the line, and then I'm going to come in and sketch my fillet here as well. Now, I want to be able to still connect my pieces, so I'm going to connect my pieces by just drawing some lines in like that, and draw another one in like that. Now, I want to get rid of my interior lines because I don't need them, so I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to delete that one. Now we have a fully defined sketch that we can use. So I'm going to finish that, and now my sketch is done. This will be the profile that we're going to use for creating the truss. So I'm going to go back to the Onshape dashboard, and we can go back to our original truss. I'm going to go back in here, and the first thing I want to do is I want to add in the beam profile feature. Sorry, the beam feature. So type in beam feature. I want to go down to the version 11, the V11 beam feature. I'm going to click that. I'm going to double click beam, and it was added to the toolbar. And sometimes it doesn't pop up right away, but usually it does. And I'm going to go to beam, and this pops up. Now it defaults to the ANSI inch and the L equal angle. We want to use the weldment profile that we just created. So I'm going to go to custom, select Part Studio, other documents, my Onshape, and we can see here, here's the truss profile that I just made. Now, I have to create a version of it in Truss Profile, so I'm going to create a version. And I'm going to hit, you can give it a custom name if you want, I'll just call it V1. I'm going to hit Create, and there we go, Sketch 1. I'm going to select my line that I want to use, and lo and behold, it pops up. But the problem is the way it pops up is not the orientation that I want. So I want to change this orientation to 90, and that makes it upright. Now I can come through here, and I can start adding in the rest of my features. So I can add in the rest of my members here, 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 and here. And I know that the corners aren't perfect, but if we go to miter all the corners, it makes things look even worse. Because even though it makes the corners here look great, it makes our top corners look terrible. So I'm just going to leave the mitering feature off for now, and everything will still work fine, so you don't have to worry about it. After this is done, I'm going to click the green check mark, and there we go, we have our truss. And we can see here that if we just zoom in on this, it actually looks like we have 3 individual features that come together to make our truss. The next thing we want to do is create our drawing. So we're going to go, get rid of this thing. I'm going to go down here to the bottom corner, and I want to go to Create Drawing. And hopefully this comes through, because historically this has always been kind of slow. The difference is with this drawing, we're still going to use the same template we've always used, the 8 ANSI inch. But the difference is on this one is that I want you guys to add a detailed view of the corners of your truss. And like I said, this may or may not work because sometimes it's really slow. Go back to my Part Studio. Sometimes I have to go back and forth between the Part Studio and the drawing a couple of times to get it to load. You guys aren't the only ones that experience issues with this, just so you guys know. Let's try refreshing. Onshape seems to like refreshing sometimes, but not all the time. Well, I'm going to have to come back to the drawing part later when it feels like loading, but at least you get to see how to make the truss from this for this first part of this.